He thought the nightmare ended at the pool, but he had no idea the real danger was waiting for him inside the resort. Asterisk. He walked away from the pool that day believing the humiliation was over. He was wrong. The truth was, that incident wasn't the end. It was only the beginning, because the moment he stepped back inside the resort lobby, he noticed something strange. People staring at him, not the normal kind of staring. This time it felt coordinated. One staff member whispered to another. A man at the front desk quickly hit a file the moment he walked near. A security guard followed him from a distance as if waiting for something to happen. Asterisk. At first, he tried to ignore it. Asterisk. He tried to tell himself he was overreacting because of what happened at the pool earlier. But deep down he knew the feeling. He knew what quiet, organized discrimination looked like. He had lived through it before. When he reached the elevator, he saw a notice taped to the wall. Asterisk. Restricted access. Hotel guests only. Asterisk. The handwritten part below said, asterisk. Report suspicious individuals immediately. Suspicious individuals. He already knew who they meant. Asterisk. He stepped into the elevator and pressed the button to his floor. But before the doors closed, 2 guests walked in, glanced at him, then stepped right back out, as if standing beside him was dangerous. He didn't say anything. He didn't react. Asterisk. He just waited for the elevator to take him up. Asterisk. But when it reached his floor, 2 security officers were already standing there waiting. One of them spoke in a tone coated with fake politeness. Asterisk. Sir, we need to ask a few questions. He sighed. Not again. They asked how he got into the resort. They asked if he had proof he was staying there. Asterisk. They asked why he was wandering around the property alone. He showed them his keycard. He showed them his reservation. Asterisk. He showed them everything. Asterisk. Still, they didn't believe him. Asterisk. Then one of the officers said something that froze him in place. Asterisk. We've had complaints about you today. Asterisk. Complaints. Asterisk. From who? He hadn't spoken to anyone. He hadn't argued with anyone. Asterisk. He hadn't even looked at anyone after the pool incident. Asterisk. So where were these complaints coming from? He asked the officers to tell him exactly who accused him. They refused. Asterisk. He asked what he supposedly did wrong. They refused. They only said one thing. Asterisk. Certain guests feel uncomfortable with your presence. That sentence hit harder than any insult earlier. This wasn't an accident. Asterisk. This wasn't one rude person at the pool. Asterisk. This was systematic. He asked them straight. Is this because of the way I look? Neither officer answered, but their silence was louder than any confession. Asterisk. He walked back to his room, anger building in his chest. Not because they questioned him, but because even when he proved he belonged there, they still acted like he didn't. He turned on the TV to calm himself down, but a slip of paper under the door caught his eye. He picked it up. It wasn't a bill. It wasn't a menu. It wasn't from the hotel. It was a note, a single sentence written in red ink. Asterisk. Leave while you still can. His hands tightened. Someone had slid that under his door intentionally. Someone inside the resort wanted him gone, not because of anything he did, but because of who he was. He walked to the balcony to breathe, but then he noticed something chilling. Asterisks. Down in the courtyard. The same officer from the pool, the same man who doubted him. Asterisk. The same man who embarrassed him in public. Asterisk was watching him, looking straight up at his balcony. Expression blank, but eyes full of warning. It hit him then. The racism at the pool wasn't an isolated moment. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't one bad person. It was a chain, a system, a network inside the resort that saw him not as a guest asterisk but as a threat. He stared back at the officer without blinking, not with fear, but with a decision. If they wanted him gone, asterisk, if they wanted him silent, if they wanted him afraid, they chose the wrong person. Because he wasn't leaving. Not tonight. Asterisk, not tomorrow. Asterisk, not until he found out exactly who was behind all this, and why the story wasn't over. It was just getting darker, and the deeper he went, the more he realized this wasn't just about a pool. This wasn't just about a resort. This was much bigger, much deeper, much more dangerous. Asterisk, and he was already in the center of it.